My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes you raise your hands to the skies and nothing seems to happen. Days pass, weeks pass, maybe even years, and your dua remains unanswered. You start to wonder, has Allah forgotten me? But I want to tell you today, He hasn't. And the silence you're hearing is not rejection. It may just be the softest form of His mercy. Let us remind ourselves that even the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam waited. And if delay was written for the most beloved of all creation, then maybe, just maybe, the delay in your life is a sign of how deeply Allah is still writing your story with love. When it's delayed, it's being perfected. My beloved brothers and sisters, sometimes we feel like we've done everything right. We've been making dua with sincerity. We've cried in the middle of the night. We've raised our hands after every salah. And still, the thing we asked for doesn't arrive. Days pass, weeks pass, years even. And there's this voice inside that whispers, maybe Allah doesn't want this for me. Maybe I'm not worthy. But I want you to pause. And remember this very carefully. A delay from Allah is not a rejection. It is not abandonment. It is not divine silence. It is divine perfection. You may think you're ready, but Allah, the one who created you, who sees your past, your future, the turns you'll take, the people you'll meet, the challenges waiting in your path. He knows what you're truly ready for. Sometimes you ask Allah for something good, marriage, children, a job, healing, peace. You ask for something your heart aches for. But what if Allah knows that the version of you right now might mishandle that blessing? What if the very thing you're begging for, I would have caused you more pain than peace? If it arrived too soon, imagine giving a small child a key to a car. They want it, they're begging for it. But would you hand it over? No, because they haven't learned how to use it safely, because they might hurt themselves or others. The delay is protection, not denial. Allah sees that you still need time to mature, time to heal, time to fix what's broken in your heart, so that the blessing doesn't land on unstable ground. And sometimes it's not you who needs time, it's the blessing itself. Maybe the person you're asking for isn't ready. Maybe the job you want is still being prepared. Maybe the life you're asking for is still under construction and the door is closed. Because if you entered now, you'd fall through the floor. My brother, my sister, we live in a world of instant everything. Fast food, fast messages, fast answers. But Allah does not operate on speed. He operates on wisdom. He doesn't just give you something. He gives it at the right moment, in the right way, with the right heart and the right surroundings, so that when it comes, you don't lose Him because of it. You don't forget your prayers. You don't lose your humility. You don't place the blessing above the one who gave it. That's the danger of gifts that come too soon. They can become a fitna. They can become a distraction. They can even become the reason someone walks away from Allah. So He delays it out of mercy. He delays it until He knows that you've detached from making that dua your obsession and returned to making Allah your comfort. Until your heart says, Ya Allah, if you give it, I will thank you. And if you don't, I will still thank you. Because that is the heart that is truly ready, not just for the blessing, but for what comes after. And maybe, just maybe, what you're asking for is not going to arrive in this dunya. Maybe Allah is saving it for Jannah, for the day. He welcomes you with joy and says, remember all those silent nights you cried and waited and believed? Here is your answer, multiplied beyond what you imagine. Don't let the delay make you think you're not loved. In fact, The delay may be the very proof that you are deeply loved, because Allah delays for the ones He's preparing. He delays for the ones He wants to protect. He delays for the ones He wants to elevate. And the best things in life never arrive rushed. They arrive when your hands are still raised, your heart is still soft, and your faith says, even if it takes forever, Ya Rab, I'll still ask only you. That is a believer. That is you. And that is why Allah hasn't forgotten your dua. He's perfecting it. And He's perfecting you. If you got it earlier, you might have ruined it. One of the hardest truths to accept is that sometimes the thing we are praying for is actually too early for us. Not because we are bad, not because we are unworthy, but because we're not ready for what it really means to carry that blessing. You may be asking Allah for something beautiful, a spouse, a child, a job, a second chance, a solution to a pain that no one even knows you carry. But if Allah gave it to you right now, with the mindset you currently have, with the wounds you haven't healed, with the ego you haven't broken, with the habits you haven't fixed, you may mishandle the blessing. You may lose it, or worse, you may use that very gift to drift further away from the one who gave it to you. And Allah loves you too much to let your own dua become the reason for your destruction. You see, we only think about what we want, but Allah thinks about what will protect your iman. He thinks about your akhirah. He thinks about what will still bring you back to Him, even when the blessing becomes a test. And sometimes, my beloved, that means He has to say, not yet. You're not ready. If I give it now, you'll break under the weight of it. Think about it this way. You're building a house, but the foundation is still soft. And now, you're asking Allah to give you a massive gift, like a luxury car, to park on that foundation. It looks like a blessing, but if it arrives too early, it will collapse the ground beneath you. That's not a gift. That's a setup for heartbreak. So Allah waits. He holds the thing you've been crying for, not because He's cruel, but because He's merciful beyond measure. He knows there's a version of you coming, a stronger you, a wiser you, a you that knows how to guard a blessing instead of losing it. But to become that version of yourself, you may have to go through more tests, more healing, more silence, more surrender. You may have to be alone for a while. You may have to be misunderstood. You may have to feel like everyone else is getting ahead while you're still stuck in the same place. But you're not stuck. You're in divine training. And this is something we don't realize, that the delay isn't always about the thing. The delay is about Allah rewriting your insides. So when the thing arrives, you'll know how to keep it and love it, honor it, and never let it take you away from Him. Because there are people who got married at the wrong time and their marriage became misery. There are people who became successful at the wrong time and their success became arrogance. There are people who got what they asked for but lost who they were in the process. So Allah in His mercy is not just thinking about the arrival of your dua. He's thinking about how it will affect your soul. And that is far more important. My beloved, you're not being punished. You're being prepared. Prepared to receive something in a way that doesn't harm you, doesn't ruin you, and doesn't disconnect you from your deen. That takes time. It takes surrender. It takes letting go of your own schedule and trusting the schedule of the one who sees the whole map. And I know it's not easy. You cry at night. You wonder, everyone else has what I'm asking for. Why not me? You look around and feel like you've been forgotten. But I promise you, you haven't. You're not forgotten. You're not rejected. You're loved too deeply to be given something at the wrong time. Because if Allah gives it too early, You'll connect your heart to the gift, not the giver. And then when the gift shakes, you'll shake with it. So he delays. So you learn to love him first. So your foundation becomes unshakable. So when the blessing comes, it rests on a heart that is rooted in tawakkul, not desperation. And when that happens, you'll see the wisdom. You'll look back and say, Ya Allah, thank you for not giving it to me when I begged for it. Thank you for waiting until I became someone who could carry this with gratitude, not entitlement. Because the truth is, on the right blessing at the wrong time can become a curse. But the right blessing at the right time from Allah is a gift that uplifts you both in this life and the next. So don't rush the process. You are not being ignored. You are being refined. And the dua you're making is not just reaching the heavens. It's building a version of you that's ready to live the answer without losing Allah in the process. That's not a delay. That's love. That's mercy. That's Allah. And He always gives at the moment that's best for you. The wait is where your faith is built. My dear brothers and sisters, let me speak to the one whose heart is quietly breaking. To the one who says, I've been making dua for so long, but nothing has changed. To the one who feels like they're standing in front of a closed door, knocking, pleading, but hearing no response. Let me remind you, with all the love in my heart, the wait is not empty. The wait is not wasted. The wait is not punishment. The wait is where your faith is being built. You see, anyone can raise their hands and make dua when they feel strong, when they feel hopeful, when life is moving the way they expect. That kind of dua, it's easy. But what about when it doesn't go your way? What about when you're met with silence? What about when your heart is tired? Your eyes are swollen from crying and your soul is whispering, Ya Allah, are you still listening? That is the moment where real belief is born. That is the moment when your connection to Allah either breaks or becomes unshakable. It's in those quiet, lonely nights when nothing makes sense that Allah is building something inside you that you can't yet see. The wait is not for the answer. The wait is for the transformation that happens while you're waiting. Because Allah isn't just answering your dua, He's answering your soul. He's drawing you closer. He's shaping your heart to depend on Him in ways you never would have otherwise. Sometimes you think you're just asking for a solution, but Allah is actually giving you a new relationship with Him. A closeness, a reliance, a bond that can only be built in the furnace of silence and patience. My dear brother, my dear sister, when you feel like you've been left unseen by the heavens, you haven't. Allah says in the Quran, indeed, I respond to the call of the caller when he calls upon me. 186. He didn't say, I respond immediately. He didn't say, I respond in the way you expect. He said, I respond. And that is a promise from the one who never breaks his word. But the real question is, can you keep calling even when it's hard? Can you keep knocking even when the door seems closed? Can you keep believing even when nothing is visible? That's what faith is. Faith is not proven when the dua is answered. Faith is proven when the dua is unanswered. And you still say, Ya Allah, I trust you anyway. Sometimes Allah withholds the result so that you'll come back to Him every single day. You'll raise your hands not just once, but again and again and again, until your dua is no longer about the thing you want, but about the one you're turning to. And that is where transformation happens. You become soft.